Hello, Meoni here, and welcome back to another mount video. This is the second one of today. I know I've been very busy this weekend. Essentially, at the weekend, we sort of do like a fun activity as part of our static, and one of them that I thought was a really good idea, since it's an off-raid day, is to actually practice and finally get down FFXIV Savage. It started out as such an innocent request and such a really innocent idea. It turned out to be quite an escapade. It's quite a tricky fight to learn. What I will have in a separate video before people ask is an unsync guide to that. I will probably have that out tomorrow, so rest assured I will be telling you the best way of actually clearing this. It is an incredible fight, and without spoiling anything really, the second phase is absolutely amazing. We found a great way of cheesing it though, so watch out for that video on the channel very shortly. Today's video though is just talking about the mount itself, and of course you get this as a guaranteed drop from completing FFXIV Savage. We intend to farm this for a couple of other people in our static, some of the people that didn't get it the previous night, so yeah, it's a tricky fight, just bear that in mind, but there will be a guide for that. You basically get the Model Zero, which is kind of like a miniature version of the Omega in his sort of like beetle robot form. This is something that I absolutely adore. I was so over the moon when we finally got the clear on this, and the fact that we can actually farm some mounts from it now. And it's so much fun, the Omega series, like both in lore and obviously the storyline that we had in Stormblood. But to actually finally have this is just a great thing to take forward. I would imagine this is going to be a lot easier going forward at level 90 or whatever it might be in the next expansion, 99 perhaps. I don't know what the cap will be. It'll be a lot easier to farm. There's a lot of mechanics that we skip already, but there's going to be a lot more that you'll be able to overpower in the future for sure. Let's have a look at this mount then. It is essentially a miniature version of the Beetle, and yeah, it's fully, terrestrial in all areas, so it can go on the ground in ground-only areas, which will be mostly a thing of the past when it comes to 5.3 with flying in old world areas. And of course, when it goes into flying mode, there's this special animation, as you can see, when you tap spacebar or actually jump up there in a flyable area, it will actually switch into flight mode where its legs fold up into its body, and it's got that very familiar Omega flight mode that you saw in the Stormblood storyline for Omega itself, if you remember back then. But it's also got this really amazing feature. I'll keep mounting up and flying for you because I think this animation is just adorable. Basically, there's some kind of machine that you're sat on that kind of creates an interdimensional rift of its own in some ways, because every time you mount up into flight mode, as in you press the spacebar, your character sort of pops into this invisible chamber, which totally shouldn't be able to feature you at all, but you sort of like you shrink into nothingness inside of it. It's really weird, but I kind of love it as well. It's one of the only mounts I know of where it completely obscures the view of your character when you're on it, so that makes it very unique indeed. We have stuff like the PvP mount, the one that you actually turn into a suit of armor with you inside of it, that we've shown on the channel before, but this is really on a whole new level. I am over the moon with this one. It looks so beautiful with all of the rockets on the underside there glowing bright blue. So yes, all we've got left to do is read its text and show it off a bit more, but I'm very excited to show this one with you today. It took a lot of work to grind for, but we got there in the end. Call into battle your Model Zero, autonomous aerial transport device constructed in Omega's interdimensional manufactory. It says, though it is difficult to fathom why Omega would require a weaponless flying mount designed to comfortably accommodate a denizen of Hydelin, Garland Ironworks engineers proposit the construct was fabricated in an attempt to better understand its enemies. And the hidden text there says, "'Tis one of Omega's creations," a quote there of Midgard Solma. So yeah, it's really interesting because the majority of things aren't supposed to be able to exist outside of the interdimensional rift. That's the rule with the interdimensional rift in general. But if you actually, play through that storyline, you find out that that's purely not true at all. It's actually possible for things to pass through. Without spoiling anything else, I would definitely recommend you play through the Omega raid series, even on like the lowest difficulty. Just go and unsync that with some friends. It is definitely worth your time, and I would definitely say try out the Savage as well. if you can do that unsynced, or synced if you want an absolute challenge. It's very, very tough indeed. But yeah, I absolutely love this mount. I think it's fantastic. Everything on it is so detailed, and wonderfully so. Like, all of the work that's gone into this, it really does look like a top tier premium mount that you would expect to see on a cash shop or something. But thankfully it's from in-game, and it's from such a prestigious fight. It really is very hard for me not to mention how good it is, and what a wonderful feeling it is to finally get this as an actual reward. They could have done so many different kinds of mounts as a reward from FFXIV, but to know that it's actually this one, it's the correct choice. It really is. And hopefully we see more stuff like this going forward. I do like it when we have these big battles and we get an ultimate reward. I know recently in the Savage versions of Shadowbringer stuff, we've had the Slipper mount, and we've also had the Ramu mount so far, which I'm hoping to one day get. But for now, I'm very content that we got this one indeed. It's just exceptional. The rockets on the bottom are probably my favorite thing, the blue rockets there. So cool. But anyway, I don't want to brag too much. I wanted to share this with you because a lot of people probably have never seen this. Hopefully, you know, you're incentivized to go and do some of the older Savages. They're not as hard as it might seem, especially like God Kefka and things like that. They're easily unsinkable these days with a group of 8 like-minded people. However, FFXIV 4 Savage was a bit tough. We had people in 500 item level, you know, so relative raid gear from Savage progression in Shadowbringers. But, and it wasn't easy in the slightest. There was a lot of things that we had to cheese and get around, and people had to forcibly die. Anyway, I will have a separate video on that guide showing you how to easily unsync it, or I say easily, but yes, it's such a wonderful reward, and I really wish we had got this back in the day. It would have been such a massive thing to just cheer about. There's certain mounts in the game that are just like a good representation of effort and respect given to the person. And I think this is one such mount. But thankfully now, people like myself, these scrubs that haven't done it in Stormblood, including myself, unfortunately, could finally get their hands on it. So we worked for it, but nowhere near as hard as the people who worked on it back in the day. It's given me a great respect for the people who did Stormblood progression at endgame all the way through. Massively respectful for those people now. It's not easy in the slightest. Anyway, thank you kindly for watching this video. Let me know what you think about the Model 0 below, or the Model O, as people will point out, since it's O for Omega and I'm calling it a Model 0. But, you know, we'll go with the fact that it can be both because of how binary works, and, you know, just lay off, all right? Leave me alone. I probably should have called it the Model O, but just deal with it, okay? Whether you know, you're going to go and try and pick this one up, I heavily encourage you to do more stuff like this in the game, especially in laws of content between patches. It's perfect. So thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully everyone is well, and I'll see you all next time.